Hey everybody, how are we doing? Oh yeah, let's do that again. Hey everybody, how are we doing? Okay, it's good to get some energy here. It's great to be in Mexico. I'm really excited about it. The people that I've met, the amount of innovation that we've been seeing is just being absolutely fantastic. And you know, back in Visa, we're constantly talking about what's going on within Latin America, but more so what's going on within Visa and within the fintech industry. So we're going to be talking to you a fair bit about that. We're going to spend some time talking about the amount of disruption that's happening across so many different industries, whether it's in retail, whether it's in financials, whether it's in health. It's really happening across all industries. But innovation has always been happening. The deal is, it's happening at a much faster click, a much faster clock speed now. Think of all the advancements that we've made in technology, whether it be social or mobile, whether it be cloud. There's so many advancements we made. Think about all the ways that you interact with all of the brands that you interact with. Like, how many of us really go to the ticketing counter anymore when we're flying? I got my ticket right here in my pocket. How many of us could go to our bank on a regular basis? But I have my bank all here with me. And because of these changes, clients, the consumer, is really looking for new levels of convenience. Every brand has to think about how their customers interact with them today, how their customers will interact with them tomorrow. The gap between how they do it and how they want to do it, if you don't address that gap, your loyal customers today will become your former customers tomorrow. So we're going to talk a little bit just about areas that we should all be focused on, areas that we should be thinking about, and areas that we should be delivering. Before I get into it, I just want to spend a little bit of time to talk about Visa. Just give you a bit of history on Visa and what we're doing. So if you think about over the 60 years, you know, we at Visa are working with approximately 16,000 financial institutions. We're working with approximately 46 million merchants, managing about 3.4 billion cards. It's quite a lot. We're processing about 65,000 transactions a second. And we have to reinvent ourselves, though, all the way through those 60 years to ensure that we're delivering these new levels of convenience, to make it easier for our cardholders to be able to use the card anywhere they want to use it. But even in doing that, you can see where digital payments has been focused, mainly because of the grid. We were bound to the grid. So there are large parts of this planet that just have not been attached yet. Large parts that we have not gone after yet, that we couldn't go after because of infrastructure needs. If we think about where Visa is going and what we have been on the path to deliver, you'll see how Visa is really thinking about not just the 3.4 billion cards, but thinking about how do we enable the 21 billion devices, the 21 billion connected devices, how do we make them payment enabled? Think of your fridge being able to reorder your content, your food, and your fridge being able to pay. Think of your car as you pull up to the petrol station. Your car is your payment. Or if you pull into parking, your car is your payment. In fact, that use case right there, we delivered it with Nissan to enable their driver to, one, pull up to a petrol station, choose the pump, choose the grade, and the car is the payment instrument. We also enabled with Bentley that when I'm here in Mexico City and I'm trying to find parking, I can ask the car, where's the local parking based on where I am? And the actual car then reserves and pays for that parking for me. These are all the new ways that we have to think about. These are all the new ways that we have to deliver this convenience. When I think of the financial institutions also being a part of this, like Banco Azteca has been really integrating with a number of our APIs, such as the Visa Risk Manager, to really give a richer experience for their cardholders. We're going to talk a lot about all of these areas, but as we do, keep in mind, by delivering these conveniences, by going after these digital payments, by removing the need for cash and checks, the global opportunity is an additional $17 trillion. Everyone's listening now, right? Right. Just to bring it home a little bit, the opportunity in Latin America is $1.8 trillion. Are we getting more excited? Okay, let me get you more excited. The opportunity in Mexico is $551 billion. Okay, God, just making sure you guys are reading this, right? So the opportunity is quite real. You're going to have a question that you have to ask yourself as we're going through not just this session, but as you're thinking about everything that Finnosummit is talking to you about. You're going to have to be thinking about, are you delivering or are you defining the future, or are you waiting for the future? Because if you're defining it, you're going to be that digital predator, that digital leader. If you're waiting for someone else to define it, well, we've seen that before, right? That's where you become digital prey. That's where someone else comes in and takes it and actually moves it forward faster. We're going to talk about 3 areas today. We're going to talk about data and patrons and AI and what that means. We're going to talk about technology, but hopefully about making that technology invisible so we get it out of the way of people and what they're trying to do. We're going to talk about co-creation and how we can work together to actually deliver these solutions. Before I start going into those areas, I'm just going to give you a scenario. And the scenario is kind of tied around my morning. So I'll give you a scenario and you can understand exactly how each of these different elements that we just mentioned come together to really deliver a new level of convenience. So usually I get up around 5 a.m. in the morning. My family gets up around 5:30 or so. And we'll sit down, we'll have a spot of breakfast. We'll talk about, what we are hoping for the day. And then at around 6 o'clock, I head to the office. 10 minutes down the road is a coffee shop that I go in. I go there Monday to Friday. They know me really well. They know my order really well. I go there Monday to Friday. I go in, I order my coffee, a grande, non-fat, no foam, 1-pump vanilla latte. There is a quiz at the end, so remember that one, right? I'll order that coffee. I'll pay for it using my contactless card. And then I'll walk down to the other end of the counter and I'll wait for that coffee. The whole process takes about 15 minutes. 15 minutes, Monday to Friday. Think about it, 15 minutes, they know me. Think of the friction that's in there. I have to go in, I have to order, I have to pay, I have to wait, I have to collect, and I have to go. Imagine if we could take, just in that small journey, we could take friction out. Imagine, if you will, I get into my car at 6 o'clock and my wearable, my phone, my car, sends an alert to the coffee shop. Without me having to do anything, no pre-ordering, I don't have to do anything. And it said, Paul is leaving his house. He's 10 minutes out. Don't make the coffee, because at 5 minutes out, there's a turn. I could go left and head to the airport and find myself in Mexico City, or I go right and I'll go to the coffee shop. If I go left, don't make it, because they've got tight margins. They've got to manage their margins, right? They want a higher probability. So at 5 minutes out, I send another indicator that I'm going, just a small alert, and tells them that I'm heading right. I'm heading to the coffee shop. At that point, start making the coffee. I arrive at the coffee shop. My geolocator on my wearable, my car, my phone lets them know that I'm here. I walk into the coffee shop. My digital wallet pays for it. I pick up my coffee and I go. What was 15 minutes is now 15 seconds. That's the type of level of convenience we're talking about. They're the small changes that you have to make within your customer journey, not big monolithic changes, but small changes that you have to do. Those small changes, however, can really change the whole experience for a customer. And if you can change those experiences, well then, your loyal customers today stay your loyal customers tomorrow, but your loyal customers today will attract new customers tomorrow. 3 things we're going to talk about. Let's get into the first one. It's really about data. There's a lot of data on the planet today, as you guys are well aware. In fact, I'm sure if I asked, you guys will tell me there is 44 zettabytes of data on the planet today. 44 zettabytes of data. 90% of that data has been generated in the last 2 years. The vast majority of that data is generated or connected to an IP address. My wearable is generating data. My phone is generating data. This room is generating data. We're all in contact with each other. More data is being generated. So think about it, 44 zettabytes of data. 1 zettabyte of data, 10 to the 21, is equivalent to, if anyone remember DVDs? Okay. It's equivalent to 250 billion DVDs, 4 zettabytes. Here's the problem. Most customers, clients, do not understand how to utilize that data and turn that data into true insights. If anybody's thinking about a new business, here's a big business for you. Why? Because 72% of them are looking for a partner. They're looking for someone to help them turn those insights into true actions so that they can better serve their customer. Big area. Why is this even bigger? Or why will it be bigger? Because in the year 2020, there will be 21 billion connected devices. 44 zettabytes of data in the year 2020. Just so you know how big 44 zettabytes of data is, if anyone has ever gone to the National Library of Congress, 44 zettabytes of data would be 100 million printed copies of the entire library. There's a lot of data, but what you have to try and do is find the patterns within that data. Because if you can find the patterns within that data, then you can start predicting what your customers are going to want. You can understand exactly when Paul is leaving the house. You can understand exactly what Paul is going to order when he gets to the coffee shop. Oh, by the way, when Paul goes to the coffee shop at the same time, but in fact has his wife with him, they usually get smoothies. Why? Because they're on the way to the gym. So how do you do that real-time adjustment? You can't make a static outcome. It has to be a dynamic outcome. And that's an area that we all need to start focusing on if we're not doing it today. Most e-commerce offerings still offer static outcomes. Retail, when you think about the physical stores, if they can master dynamic outcomes, they change the whole model. For you to understand the amount of patterns within all that data, it takes a long time. Manually, you cannot do it. The way you can do it, however, is getting into areas like machine learning, spending a lot of time in machine learning, spending a lot of time in AI. And you have to spend a lot of time, and you have to monitor and you have to adjust. The problem that you have if you don't spend a lot of time is that machines don't understand the difference between a puppy and fried chicken. So unless you're monitoring, unless you're managing it, unless you're understanding how your algorithms are working, unless you're giving them enough data and time, well, you don't want to be serving chicken when it's meant to be a puppy. Or vice versa, right? Which could be even worse. You got it, great. Can anybody spot the chicken there? Anyone? Just wondering. Let me talk about one local fintech, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Rocket. They're doing an amazing job about optimizing literally top of the funnel acquisition. Being able to understand from a client's data what type of product or card to put in front of them, so that they get not just a credit card, but here's the right credit card. Here's the one that best suits their needs. They've been doing an amazing job at this, and we're seeing some great success, and I'm really happy to be talking about them today. The big thing, though, to also think about is security. Security should be the golden rule. We have to focus on security, no matter what the solution. At Visa, we call it our golden rule, and it is our top priority. Full stop, end of story. Now think about just last year alone, 2.9 breaches last year alone. 2.9 billion breaches. With many of those really being around identity. So again, as you're thinking about your solutions, your offerings, spend a lot of time thinking about access and your identity. Let's talk about number 2, making technology invisible. Really, really important. Many of us are not spending enough time on this and making technology invisible. I'll give you an example. A number of years ago, myself and my team prior to Visa were working on a solution for a large hotel chain. And what they wanted to be able to do was, because they were under pressure from Airbnb, right? Airbnb, I think it was in 2015, actually had more occupied rooms worldwide than some of the largest brands on the planet. So they had to think about, well, what's the new experience I can actually deliver for our customer? So myself and my team worked on a new experience for them, which was basically once your guest arrives at the hotel, your geolocator would let them know and advertise that they're here, and we would automatically check them in, send them a room key and the room number. Oh, by the way, use the data to realize that Paul wants to be on the 4th floor, furthest away from the elevator, and be able to allow their top guests to be able to walk in and go straight through. Well, about 2 months ago, I came to another hotel, not the same brand, I'm happy to say, and I walked in, and they said to me, hey, would you like a digital key? I went, fantastic, I'll take a digital key, this is brilliant. So they sent a digital key to my mobile device, I thought it was fantastic. And as I was walking away, carrying my luggage, I'm after being on a 10-hour flight, so I just wanted to go and just relax. They also said, here's a card key for you, which sent off some red alerts, right? Card key. But I took the card key with me. I went to the 12th floor, not the 4th floor that I would have picked. So I went to the 12th floor. I waved my phone in front of the door, and nothing happened. I waved it again, nothing happened. People are walking by looking at me weirdly. I'm waving my phone, nothing's happening. I said, aha, I'll take out my plastic key. Tried to use my plastic key, that didn't work either. So I got my bags, went back down 12 floors and told them that, hey, none of this worked. And they said, oh, well, in order to do your digital key, you need to be connected to the Wi-Fi. You didn't tell me that. The experience there would have been fantastic. the experience ended up being bad because we didn't think of it fully end-to-end and we kept technology in the way. You've got to see how you can remove any of those barriers or friction from the customer. Think about the credit card. A great piece of tech that I don't have to think about traveler's checks or anything. I got my card, 46 million merchants. I can go around and I don't have to think about currency translations or anything. The ubiquity of that card, whether it be online, on my mobile, was fantastic. And when you actually deliver a great solution, it truly looks like an amazing experience. It truly is great. Everyone will probably admit that the girl with the pearl earring is a masterpiece, right? Does everybody agree with that? Look what happens when technology gets in the way. It becomes the girl with the phone. No pearl earring. We have to think about it fully end to end. And how do we enable the right experiences? If we do enable the right experiences, we can have our fridges actually ordering the right food for me at the right time and paying for it. We can go into stores, pick up items that we want, put it in our bags, and walk out without having to go to the checkout. You probably have seen this in some retail stores, right? I know when I was growing up in Dublin in Ireland, that was called stealing. Now it's called a customer experience. But removing that friction is really, really important. I'm going to show you what we believe the future of retail is going to look like. By taking the data, understanding the patterns, putting the right AI models around it, by making technology invisible, I'm going to show you exactly what it could be. And this is not 10 years away. This is not 5 years away, but many parts of it is happening now, but we just have to connect it all. Let me show you that.
Dan, Lauren is coming home a day early. She'll see you tonight at 6 p.m.
Schedule maid service for immediately.
Purchase complete. Shaving cream delivery in progress. Dan, your meeting starts in 20 minutes. Move it. Payment push to NVS cleaners. Analyzing refrigerator. I've made recommendations based on past purchases. Purchase complete with card on file. The new Classic Navy is available now in your size. Sassy Clarks has rewarded you with 25% off at Fonnabel Florist. $25% off, loyalty code applied.
Exactly how my house works today. You thought that was funny, right? Okay, so think about it. The elements of data and patterns, the elements of making technology invisible, all this providing that type of capability. The last piece that you really have to think about in order to deliver that, because no one organization will do it all end to end, is how you get connected to the network. How you start co-creating, how you find the right ecosystem in which you can actually drive the right solutions together. At Visa, we've been spending a lot of time about this. We've been spending a lot of time thinking, how do we actually transform from that closed and proprietary to become a much more open and collaborative model? How do we take our capabilities that we've honed over the years and make them available that others can actually build new capabilities, new solutions on? We've been really looking at how we deliver the right platform, because the true measurement of a platform is the vibrancy of its ecosystem around it. So we have exposed many of our capabilities now that allows for third parties, that allows for our traditional partners such as financial institutions and merchants, as well as our new partners, all the fintechs, the technology companies, to be able to build now solutions right around it. And we've seen that it's been a very important play. In fact, we've got about 117 APIs now available for you guys to utilize around areas of payment methods, around areas of data and analytics, risk and fraud, around commercial. All of these capabilities available. Go to developer.visa.com. You'll see all the APIs. You get all the sandbox capabilities. We'll provide you with sandbox. We'll provide you with all of the documentation, sample code, etc., to allow you to go and start testing around some of these areas and be able to build some great solutions. We've also put together a network of innovation centers where our partners come in to that network and spend time in that network through ideation, co-creation, and developing outputs. And that have really been masterful in how we've been impacting literally the world on some of these areas. One example around this was Aeromexico wanting to go after the millennials in a lot more, in a much richer way. They had a partner called Yalo that they wanted to work with that could actually go and deliver a beautiful chatbot and be able to serve their customers in a richer way. Technology invisible. That technology, however, was able to take 33,000 calls out of the call center because they could satisfy client requests, such as, where's my luggage? What gate am I at? What's the rescheduled time for my flight? 33,000. That's 20% of their call center volume. Now they're delivering new capabilities that are growing in CSAT because their customers are loving it, have an NPS that's really high, and yet you're doing it and taking out all of this operational cost. That's 20% of your call center volume is quite a lot. Again, I talked to you about the devices that we're working on, whether it's the car, but we think that commerce should be happening everywhere. You don't have to bring your client to commerce, but bring the commerce to your client. Make it easier for them to get what they need as they need it. The opportunity is there. Mobile payments is really taking off. We've seen the growth that's happening on e-commerce. If you think about it just in the US alone, last year, revenue's up 16%, the year before, 14%. There's still a huge percentage that we could go after. Think about what that means for here in Mexico, where we have to drive much more financial inclusion, much more capabilities to let Mexico really drive into this area of e-commerce. Really, really important. Opportunity. Quite a big number. As I said, the question that you guys have to ask yourself is, are you defining it or are you waiting? Do you have the right partner? Do you have the right partners to go after the areas that you're thinking of? I really appreciate just having a few moments to talk to you, at least at a high level, about some of the areas that we've been working on. And I hope to get back to Mexico pretty soon so we can actually have another conversation. Thank you.